Ritu is with PCC Ninja, and she'll be speaking on marketing with us. Ritu started her e-commerce journey as an Etsy seller over 10 years ago. She's the CEO of PCC Ninja, a software tools and services agency managing DSP and sponsored ad for 6, 7, and 8-figure brands. As someone who is really passionate about data science and advertising, Ritu has run a dozen PPC mastermind programs, workshops, and webinars, and trained hundreds of Amazon sellers on PPC. Ritu has shared her knowledge on dozens of podcasts, webinars, and conferences, including Prosper Show, Global Sources, and Summit, Powwow, and more. And just as a warning to you, Ritu, I think that when I move my mouse, your mouse moves too. So I'm going to keep my hands off the mouse, and I apologize to anyone who has suffered at my hands. So I'm going to mute my mic and take my hands off my mouse. And the show is all yours, Ritu. Welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mike, for the introduction. So hi, everybody. I am Ritu Java. I'm the CEO of PPC Ninja. And today I'm going to be talking about how to optimize your campaign placements. And, this is one of those topics that doesn't get talked about often enough. And it's one of those things that is like an incremental strategy to all of the other good stuff that you already know and are probably practicing with your Amazon advertising. So if it's okay, Mike, I'm just going to share my screen and get started. Yeah. Alrighty. So here is my screen. Give me just a second. Okay. All right. So I'm going to get this out of the way and slideshow. All right. So I think you can all see my screen. So we're basically talking about campaign placements. And, before I go into any details about, what is the optimization strategy, let's just talk about placements on Amazon. And I think everybody's noticed that there's a lot more ads these days on Amazon. And just this morning, I did a quick search on the word sponsored. I just did a browser find because the last time I checked, there were like 16 sponsored ads on the search results page, and this morning, guess what? It's up now to 20, and that's a lot of ads, right? And so when you run your PPC, your advertising, there's many different places that your ads can actually show up. And depending on where your ad shows up, you're going to get different results, right? That's pretty obvious. For example, everybody knows that, most of the eyeballs are concentrated at the top of the search results page, right? So that's where, most of the conversions happen, right? And as you kind of go down, it kind of shows that whoever is browsing maybe wasn't completely satisfied with the results that were showing up at the top. And so they've kind of scrolled down and they're looking for more. And then when they come to page 2 or 3 and so on, it means that they're still looking, right? Then there's other placements on the product detail pages, which is where you actually see all the details about a product, right? On that page, there are hundreds of ads, like more than 200, 300 ads, but they're hidden. They're hidden in these carousels that keep scrolling to the right, many, many pages to the right. The last time I counted, there was over 300 ads on the product detail page. So now, how does one decide which placement is good for us? Do we have any controls at all? Does Amazon get to decide? So let's, with that kind of framework and that kind of background context, let's just look at what these placements are, what they look like on Amazon. So I'm going to show you like some live examples. But before that, just a quick, definition of what these placements are in Amazon's own terms, right? They obviously have some nomenclature, and they also give us data around these, namings. So the three ways to describe placements on Amazon are top of search, product pages, and rest of search. Those are the three that Amazon defines for any kind of sponsored advertising, sponsored product advertising. Okay. So top of search is basically whatever you see on page 1 that is above the fold, right? The above the fold is the thing that you can see fitting onto the screen when you type something in the search bar. So that's above the fold, that's page 1. And then anything you see below the fold and beyond, meaning page 2, page 3, page 4, and beyond, all of that is combined under rest of search. And then you're left with product pages, which I explained. These are carousels that you see on the product detail pages that can go on horizontally, right? You can keep scrolling and you can keep seeing more ads. So those are the 3 buckets for sponsored products. Now let's look at what that looks like for sponsored brand ads. So here are some examples of sponsored brand ads. So sponsored brand ads only have 2 placements at the moment. They might split this out later on into more, but at the moment they only have 2 placements. And these are top of search and below top of search, right? So I think these 5 placements together are the ones that Amazon does provide data on, right? There might be other placements like, placements that are, maybe on checkout pages and so on. We don't really have much control over those placements and which ad types kind of lead to, your ads being visible on those placements. Perhaps Amazon is kind of bundling that all under rest of search, or they're bundling that under auto campaigns. We're not 100% sure how those placements kind of show up, but the ones that we do have control over are the 5 that I just mentioned. So at this point, I'm just going to switch over to a real Amazon page here. And as you can see here, this is, I just typed dog paw products, and the thing that shows up at the very top here is a sponsored brand ad. This is the top of search placement, and then you scroll a little bit further down, you see 4, you see this sponsored. There's 4 that show above the fold. So now, obviously, these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 products get most of the eyeballs, right? Most people that will look at these and find something good right away, like something that meets their price requirement or their star rating requirement, or they see, oh, this has got a lot of reviews, must be good. They've clicked on this and they've maybe gone deep into their buyer journey, and then they maybe have purchased. Very rarely do they say, okay, nothing here looks good, let's go down, and so your organic listings actually start from here. But for sponsored, you're basically looking at this area. So so going back to the, actually, let's go back to the bottom of the page. Let me scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. And here you see sponsored brand ads that Amazon refers to as other or not top of search, right? So this is the area where you will see like a compressed version of your sponsored brand headline ad. And by compressed, I mean it's only going to have like 1 product maybe, and then it's going to have the other details like your logo, your headline, and then also a link to your page, right? So those are kind of the components of the compressed version. Now I'm just going to go back to my slides here. So how do you know which of these placements are actually going to give you the best results? Well, luckily for us, Amazon does give us a lot of data, and I'm going to show you where you can look for this data and what you can do with it. So that's coming up next. So we're going to be talking about adjusting placement with the help of the advertising console. So I'll show you what where the data is found. So what you see on the screen here is the sponsored products placement performance data. And you can locate this by going into your campaigns view. And then within the campaigns view, on the left side of your campaign, you will see something called placements. When you click on that, Amazon will actually tell you what happened on top of search, how many impressions you got, how many clicks, what the click-through rate was, what the spend was, and so on. So as you can see in this example of mine, the top of search here got 23 orders at 12.87% ACOS. And then the product pages got the lion's share of impressions, 81,000 impressions, about 10 orders, and then at an ACOS of 2.26%, which is amazing, right? Now, if I just look at this performance, what should my action be? Like, obviously, if I'm doing so good on the product pages placement, I should be pushing that placement a little bit more. Luckily for us, Amazon does provide a bid adjustment, which is a modifier to your base bid. So let's say your base bid is $1 for a keyword inside a campaign. When you apply a when you apply a bid adjustment of, let's say, 100%, then that $1 bid becomes $2. And you can actually keep going up to 900% adjustment or modifications, so that in real time, Amazon can actually change your bids so that if you have the opportunity to kind of knock some competitors out and get to the head of the line, which means in the case of a product pages carousel, you get to the head of the visible area, that's good for you, right? Because you get more visibility. So now, obviously, you want to do this carefully. You only want to do that increment when you're sure that your ACOS is really, really good, right? So when your ACOS is good, your conversion rates are good, then there is no reason for you to stop here. In my screen, you can see my bid adjustment here is 175%. And with this kind of great ACOS, I'm not going to stop here. I'm going to keep going up. So, at our agency, we have an SOP that says every Monday, you basically go in here and adjust the bid up by 25%, right? So every Monday, we basically look at how good the performance was and just keep inching up till you become the leader in that space, and you get an opportunity to show up on the top of your placements, because you've dominated it with the highest bid, right? You become the highest bidder. You win the auction more often than anyone else, and you're doing it profitably. Now, if, let's say, one of these placements wasn't doing great, let's say my product pages placement was going at 50% ACOS or something, I would actually bring this down to 0. So I don't want to bid on those placements where I'm not doing well. So you want to do your research like this for your sponsored products placement. Now, in case of sponsored brands, there's only one adjustment you can make. You can actually change the adjustments for not top of search. So you won't be able to do anything to your top of search because that's just one placement. But for the other placements, you can say, hey, if it's not doing well, if I'm not getting a good ACOS or a good conversion rate or good sales, then why waste money in unnecessary clicks there? So I like to kind of decrease the placements that are not top of search by 99%. That's the max you can go to. So now this will not entirely eliminate, those placements from showing up, but at least the budget would kind of be diverted more to top of search instead of to bottom of the search results page. So these were the two ways in which you can actually make adjustment through the UI, right? The way I just showed you. But there's another way of doing it more efficiently if you have a lot of campaigns to look at, right? So for this, you will need a few CSV exports from within Amazon, and you use bulk files and upload them back so that you can make these changes, en masse, right? So what you want to do first is to download the SB placement report, which will tell you for each campaign, for each placement, what the performance was. That's one. Second, you want to download your bulk file. The bulk file will actually give you data for both sponsored products and sponsored brands, but then you'll have to do some lookups, VLOOKUPs, and try to make some changes to only those placements that you need to make changes to, and then you re-upload that back to Amazon. So just to show you an example here of what that looks like, here I get the placements. I can filter on my placement type for sponsored brands and say, only show me other placements, which means not top of search placements, because those are the only ones I can make any changes to. So once I find that, I can see I can look at my advertising cost of sale, and I can see here that there's a huge range of ACOS. It's going all the way from really, really good to really, really bad, right? So the ones that are really, really good, don't worry about it, let it go. You can actually increase those placements as well. That's one of the advantages of sponsored brand placement modifiers. You can both increase and decrease both directions. So you might want to try increasing some of these. And for these ones that are not doing well, definitely go ahead and lower or decrease the modifier on those placements. And then you make all those multiple changes, and then you upload the bulk file back. So I guess, with this approach, you can actually do a pretty good job, but it is a few steps like downloading, making changes, VLOOKUP, etc., and uploading back. But if you have access to any kind of software, here I'm just showing you a screenshot from within our software. We actually have a view just for campaign placements, and you can set filters like only show me those placements that have really good ACOS and have at least some significant data, like at least 2 orders and beyond. And then you go and do a bulk action here and change all of those placement modifiers. And this will eliminate a few extra steps like downloading reports and then uploading them back, etc. But each of these methods will work just fine. And with that, you can end up having more efficient campaigns because, if you've taken care of these settings, then, pretty much those campaigns are going to perform very, very optimally and give you a lot of room to experiment with other kind of types of, settings, etc. So, sorry, I've just covered this. I just said it. And with that, you're kind of done with campaign placements. We also have a pretty in-depth post on our blog. If you go to ppcninja.com/blog, you will be able to find the steps in more detail. So if you're interested, there's also a video there, and you can look it up. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing. Oh, actually, I have one last slide in case anybody's interested to learn more about us or about this method that I spoke about. There's 2 ways to get in touch with me. One is through LinkedIn. You can just, either follow me or connect with me on LinkedIn. And the other one is our PPC Ninja blog, where we post a lot of information about, topics like these, and also some controversial topics around strategy for advertising and so on. So with that, I think I'm going to stop sharing my screen and hand it back to Michael. And Michael, over back to you.
Hey, I've got a question real quick, Michael. So Ritu, how do you know when you should, the idea of having a kind of an increase or multiplier added to a bid adjustment is fine, but it seems to me at some point maybe you want to modify the bid itself. How do you know when you want to increase the bid instead of just running that adjustment higher and higher?
That's a great question. Yeah, so actually you need to do both. Campaigns, the way campaigns are structured is that you have campaigns and ad groups. Within that, you have keywords and targets, and that's where you actually set keyword or target bids. Now, this multiplier is applied to the campaign level. So that means that every single keyword in that campaign will be equally affected by whatever you're setting at that level. Now, when you have a base bid, that base bid on the keyword can go anyway. Like it can be used for by Amazon to either promote your top of search or to promote your product pages or to promote rest of search. We don't know where they're going to show your the majority of your impressions at. However, by looking at the aggregate data that they do provide us at the campaign level, we do have some more insights now on how those campaigns do perform overall. So this is actually ideally, if Amazon would give us keyword level performance data, that would be perfect, but they don't do that, right? They give us an aggregate at the campaign level for sponsored products. And so that's the only option and opportunity that we have to make any adjustments to the top of search and to the product pages placements. Now with the sponsored brand ads, they do have additional information about keyword level placements, but they don't give us the tools to make those adjustments at the keyword level yet. I hope it comes out in the future, but at this point, the only levers to kind of dominate top of search is through the campaign and not through the keyword. So if that makes sense. Yeah,
it does. There's obviously a lot to it. One final just little topic is, in my experience, it's true that sometimes people will be bidding on the same keyword, but based on their conversion and kind of the Amazon view of the quality of that prospect, right? That prospective bid, you might get a lower price and therefore but still a better placement. So in spite of having a lower cost per click, you may actually be getting better placement based on the total economic picture that Amazon is applying to that prospective bid. Do you agree with that premise, Ritu?
Yes. So there's actually two major kind of factors that kind of go into where your ad will show up, even organically, where your listing will show up. And basically for sponsored ads, those two factors are your bids, how much you're bidding, and second, what your relevancy score is. Now, a lot goes into the relevancy score, but as most people in the industry agree, the major component of relevancy is conversion rate. So if you have established a good conversion rate for certain keywords in the past for your product, then Amazon knows that, when someone types, pet care or whatever, you show up and then people click on your ad and then they buy the ad, so that relevancy for that keyword is established, right? So the more number of times that path is taken, that someone sees your ad, they click on it and then they buy it, that conversion rate path, the higher the possibility of you showing up on top of search for cheaper, because now you're winning those auctions much cheaper, because Amazon gives you that credit and allows you they lower the bids for you. So I think everybody should be just working on the conversion rate as much as possible, so that they can have highly optimized keywords that are converting, and so that kind of gives you cheaper bids and cheaper CPCs.
Yeah, love it. Wow, brilliant as always, Ritu. Thanks for joining us. Michael, any other comments?
Yeah, I really like the process that you went through with downloading the bulk files and the placement reports, and then fixing all the numbers and then uploading them again. This is all new to me, but that looks like a step that even I, in my newness journey, can follow. And so thank you for making it approachable in that way.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.